Somewhere lost in the clouded annals of history lies a place that few have seen, a mysterious place called the Unknown, where long-forgotten stories are revealed to those who travel through the wood. This is the story about the mysterious journey into the unknown of two brothers trying to find their way back home. This is Over the Garden Wall, released in 2014. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the first episode. Wirt and Greg are two brothers, lost and walking through the woods trying to find their way home. Greg keeps trying to find the best name for his frog, but they are lost, not knowing how they got there. They heard a noise and saw a woodsman cutting some weird trees. They are interrupted by a talking bird named Beatrice that arrives. The eerie woodsman warned the kids of the dangers of the unknown and brought them back to the safety of his cabin. Greg leaves a trail of candy. The woodsman explains that he was cutting the horrible edelwood trees to make them into oil for his lamp. The woodsman tells to stay inside, safe from the beast, while he goes out to make the oil. Wirt lies to rest and Greg explores to find his frog. Then a giant beast appears and attacks them. The woodsman confronts it, but Greg accidentally knocks him out. The kids escape into the mill, with the beast following them. It just wants Greg's candy. It gets trapped in the machinery and ends up spitting a black turtle and turns back to normal. The woodsman tells them that was not the beast. He points the kids the direction to the nearest town and the kids decide to leave anyway. Come to the second episode. The next morning the kids kept walking and saw a sign pointing Pottsfield a mile away. Beatrice, the talking bird, appears again, but she's trapped in a bush, and Greg helps her. Once free, she offers to take them to Adelaide, and she would help them out. Wirt doesn't like the idea, so they go to Pottsfield. They see the town. It's full of pumpkins, but it looks like a ghost town. They hear a song coming from a barn. They walk in to find a harvesting festival of people in pumpkin costumes. The pumpkins say they aren't ready to join them just yet. As the kids try to leave, they lock the doors, and the giant pumpkin says that they are going to have to pay for the troubles they caused. No one leaves Pottsfield. The punishment is just a few hours of manual work. When they are digging some holes, Greg finds a skeleton. They think they are digging their own graves. The skeletons walk out from his grave and townspeople give him a pumpkin suit, and they join in the celebration. Meanwhile, the kids escape with Beatrice. In the third episode, they continue their journey. Beatrice mocks Wirt for being a pushover, but then Greg disappears. They go to find him and find a school of animals. The teacher asks them to join and Wirt is bothered by Beatrice mocking him, so they get in. The teacher starts talking about her beloved and how he went missing. Meanwhile, outside, Greg and some animals are chased by the gorilla, but they escape into the school. It's mealtime. While they were all singing and playing music, the teacher's father appears and scolds them, taking their instruments away and sending them to bed. Greg and Wirt decide to save the day. They find out that the father wasn't a bad man. He was trying to pay the school with the instruments and now he's too broke, so he sleeps in the woods. When he wakes up, the instruments are gone, so the kids organized a benefit concert for the school. Suddenly the gorilla appears, and he falls to the ground, revealing it was the teacher's beloved. He was stuck inside the suit for the circus job. A happy ending. Come to the fourth episode. The kids continue their journey in a wagon, ending up in a tavern. Birds aren't allowed, and they kick Beatrice out. Inside they call themselves by what they do, such as the butcher and the highwayman. Beatrice hears an eerie song in the woods of a wood chopper. She goes to ask him for directions. Wirt asks for directions to get to Adelaide. They think he's a young lover, and sing, and have Wirt sing a song. They now think he's a pilgrim and celebrate their adventures. Wirt tells of how they avoided the beast, and they tell him the true nature of the beast, and how it turns lost souls into trees of oil to light his dark lantern. Wirt then thinks the woodsman is the beast, and they hear Beatrice scream outside and they run to help. When they get there, Beatrice is unconscious below one of the edelwood trees and the woodsman threatens them to leave. They rescue Beatrice, burn the tree with the woodsman's lamp, and escape with a talking horse. We see the woodsman arguing with a shadow figure, the real beast, and it tells him that he needs to pick more wood, and find where the kids are going, or the woodsman's daughter will disappear. The beast leaves singing a song. On to the fifth episode. As they continue their adventure, they end up in Endicott's manor, the mansion of a rich man that made his money selling tea. The richer he gets, the bigger the house gets, and he's lonely, but happy to have them there. Beatrice tries to scam him out of some money. They just need 2 pennies to get to Adelaide's. Endicott says that he found a part of the house he didn't know, and saw a painting of a beautiful woman and fell in love with a ghost. They go to see the painting, while Greg and Beatrice make a mess looking for loose change. Beatrice tells Wirt that she used to be a human but a bluebird had cursed her and turned her and her family into bluebirds. That's why she's trying to get to Adelaide too. Wirt reveals he has a crush on a girl and that he recites poetry. They find a secret passage, and the other room is a completely different architectural style. Endicott and Greg meet with the ghost, but they both pass out of fear. She's Marguerite, a rich woman, they are business competitors, and their mansions were so big they accidentally are connected. They fall in love and stay together. They give Greg 2 pennies and keep the horse, but Greg throws the cents into a well. Continue to the 6th episode. The next stop is at the ferry that'll take them to Adelaide. Wirt is hopeful but Beatrice seems sad. The ferry is full of well-dressed frogs, and Greg notices theirs is naked then. The frog police chase the kids since they didn't really pay the 2 cents. They joined the band on stage and Greg's frog sang, so they allowed them to stay. That night Wirt's talking about Sarah, his crush, and how Jason Funderburk got in the middle. Beatrice says they shouldn't go to Adelaide's then, because his life back home sucks anyway, and they went to sleep. Beatrice flies away in the middle of the night. They go after her. She went to Adelaide to tell her she was not giving the kids to her. Adelaide said she needed the servants and she'd give her the scissors to become human again. That's not the agreement they had, said Beatrice. The kids arrived then and the witch trapped them. It was all a trap. Beatrice dusted the place and opening the window defeated the witch. The kids escape. Wirt doesn't trust Beatrice anymore. Move on to the 7th episode. It's raining, and Greg presses Wirt on for a plan when the woodsman appears. He tells them that the beast knows of their presence, that they cannot give up and keep a high spirit to be safe. He's trying to protect them. They manage to escape again. The rain pours and they find a cabin, which seems empty and comfy, with baskets full of black turtles. Inside the cabin there was a Lorna, an ill girl that takes care of Auntie Whispers. She tells them to hide for her aunt is coming. When Auntie comes back home, she asks if anyone came and if anyone would be devoured tonight. Even though Lorna denies it, Auntie uses a magical bell to make her confess where they are. Auntie whispers only to see the turtles and eats one. She commands to clean and sort the bones of those eaten before, keeping her busy so the evil spirit doesn't come back, and goes to bed. Wirt helps her clean so that she can maybe escape too. Greg accidentally wakes up Auntie after the frog ate the magic bell. She warns them they must leave or they'd be devoured. They lock themselves into a room with Lorna when she's possessed by the evil spirit and tries to eat them. When they escape and she chases, Wirt realizes the bell inside the frog, and orders the evil spirit to leave Lorna alone, and it does. Now even though she's cured, she decides to stay with Auntie Whispers to take care of her. Auntie Whispers warns them of her sister Adelaide, for she's wicked. The beast observes all this from the shadows, and tells the woodsman he's going to take care of the kids, and he should worry about his daughter's soul. In the 8th episode, the kids continue his adventure sailing on the river. Wirt is bummed, so Greg tries cheering him up with one of his rock facts. He's not feeling up to it. The song of the beast rings in the background. Wirt's defeated. They arrive at land. Greg tries to guide, but Wirt has completely given up on finding home. He blames Greg for getting them lost by playing around. He says Greg's the leader for whatever, and they take a nap under a tree. Greg dreams of a land of angels and cute creatures called Cloud City. They are all happy until the evil old north wind attacks, but Greg traps it in a bottle. The Queen of the Clouds granted him one wish then. He wanted to wish them back home, but she couldn't transport Wirt. He's too lost. The Edelwood's growing in him. He belongs to the beast now. Then Greg wishes to swap places with Wirt. Now he has to go with the beast. When Wirt wakes up, Greg is gone. Wirt falls into icy water when a fishing fish rescues him, and Beatrice is there. Continue to the 9th episode. But how did they end up lost in the woods? We go back to see Wirt was in love with Sarah, so he made a tape for her. It's Halloween, so he makes his costume of things lying around the house, and goes out to see her. Greg's trick or trick, he got candy from an old lady for cleaning her garden, where he picks up his rock. He says his costume is an elephant. The pot on his head is the elephant's trunk. Greg goes to give Sarah the tape. Some other kids take the tape. They tell Wirt he needs to hurry, because Jason is going to ask Sarah out that same night. Greg gets nervous and runs away. Wirt panics to get the tape back later, and goes to the kids. They already handed it to Sarah. She's going to a party. They try to follow there, even though he's not invited. Inside, Wirt finds Sarah. She asks him to join them at the cemetery to hang out. Jason is just a normal, nerdy kid. They follow them to the cemetery, and Greg finds his frog there. But Wirt gets anxious when he sees Jason holding Sarah's hand. A police car comes in, jokingly arresting them. Wirt and Greg get scared, try to escape, and climb over a wall. Get it? Wirt is angry at Greg, who finally found a frog. They were actually in the train's track. It's coming! So they jump and fall down a hill and are knocked unconscious into the water. Wirt wakes up with Bluebirds, Beatrice's family. They are staying safe from the snowstorm outside. Wirt takes the frog and goes out to find Greg. Arrive at the final episode. The Beast was giving Greg some tasks to trick him. Meanwhile, Wirt found Beatrice in the snowstorm while looking for Greg. The woodsman was out of Edelwood, heard the song of the Beast, and followed it. He found Greg turning into Edelwood. The woodsman didn't know that's where the trees came from. The Beast said it didn't matter. He needed to chop the wood to keep his daughter's soul alive. The woodsman refuses. He frees Greg and attacks the Beast. Wirt finds Greg. He's barely conscious. Wirt cries, and Greg feels sorry, for he stole the rock from the garden, and wants Wirt to give it back to the old lady. Wirt says it's not his fault, and that they have to get back home, and that Jason Funderburker is the perfect frog name. Then the woodsman falls to the ground, and the Beast offers a deal to Wirt. He could bear the lantern with Greg's spirit inside and gather the Edelwood to keep him alive. Wirt refuses, and thinks the Beast just wants to trick him, as if his own soul was inside the lantern. That enraged the Beast, until he threatened to blow off the flame, then handed the lamp to the woodsman. He also realizes that his daughter was never in the lantern. Wirt picks up Greg, and gives the magical scissors to Beatrice. He picks them up when escaping from Adelaide. The Beast orders the woodsman to chase the kids, but he refuses and blows off the candle of the lamp. Wirt wakes up underwater in the river, takes Greg and swims to the surface. They are taken to a hospital. When Wirt wakes up, Sarah's there, and Greg is telling the stories to all the other kids, with Jason Funderburker, the frog and the kid. Sarah and Wirt make a plan to listen to the tape at his house, and Greg is having fun shaking the magical bell inside the frog's belly. We see that the woodsman returned home, and his daughter was there. They cried together. Lorna remains with Auntie Whispers, Marguerite admiring Endicott's portrait, the teacher and her boyfriend at the circus, a black cat coming out the giant pumpkin from Pottsfield, and Beatrice as a human. Her frog was the one we saw before, and she's with her family now, all humans. And that's how this magical journey into the unknown comes to an end. Subscribe for more engaging shows like this. Hit the bell icon and be the first to watch, like and comment.